Hey there, everybody. It's Matt the Dice Checker coming to you with some new recording equipment. We're kind of still adjusting to what we've got here. So if I'm looking in the wrong direction again, yes, we're still trying to get used to recording with the iPad here. Today we're taking a look at a small game from Stronghold called Profiteers. Now, this has a neat little concept. In this game, you are working as English magnates that are selling weaponry to Union and Confederate soldiers in the American Civil War. How does it play? Well, let's take a look. So, in a game of Profiteers, and this is pretty much a basic component setup, but I can pretty much explain the game from the components. You're going to be going through the battles in the American Civil War. As you can see, we have 7 of them. Yes, there's 7 of them there. And what you're trying to do is kind of manipulate the way that victory is going to go. So there's 3 parts to your turn. The first is you can sell. If you have any bonds, you can sell them back to these piles here for how much they're worth. So right now, both sides are only worth 1-for-1 ratio. If the Union were up here and the Confederacy down there, then Union bonds would be worth 2. But at the beginning of the game, I believe they're both worth 1. Yes, they're both worth 1. And then you trade them in for gold. Then you can buy stuff. Each person is assigned, I'm going to try to get this right, everybody, a factory. And so the GB stands for Great Britain, Confederate, and Union. And what you're doing is you are actually producing weaponry. What these numbers mean is that's how many cards you're going to draw from their respective decks. Union soldiers, Confederate soldiers. If you produce in Great Britain, you can choose which of the 2 you'd like to buy from. And you could buy any sort of any number of factories. The cost is right there on the side: 8 gold for Great Britain, and then 6 for Union or Confederates. And then you may also buy a special contract card. You have these down here, which give you bonuses for certain things. If you buy a railroad, it costs 5, but it gives you a troop value of 3. Undertaker, you gain 1 gold for each troop played in the battle, and it costs 2 times the number of players. And then for your saloons, gain 1 for every 3 troops held by other players by the end of each battle. So, special cards that you can get there. Now, then you produce. So, you produce however many, and you have these little, I'm going to try to put them on here, these little counters. And let's say this is what I had here. So, I would produce 2 Union soldiers, 1 Confederate soldier, and 1 Great Britain, which means a soldier of my choice. I would go to these decks and I would pull out whatever there was. Let's take a look at what these decks look like. So we have, like, artillery here is a troop value of 2. And then we have, give me something different. There we go. Infantry, troop value of 1. And like I said, those railroads have a troop value of 3. There's trenches in here. And that's pretty much it as far as the differences in cards go. So once you produce those, you have those in hand, and then you're going to commit troops, and you're going to play any number of troops face down next to the battle sequence, and then you fight the battle. You reveal how many cards there are, how many soldiers there are in each battle. Whoever has the highest amount numbers-wise is the winner of that battle. Now in the first round, Bull Run is fairly, doesn't have any advantages, but in Antietam, the Union goes into the battle with 1 advantage. So you're going to have to keep an eye on those there. Once the battle is done, you resolve the outcome. You'll take a look at your undertakers, your saloons. You record the result. So let's say the Confederacy won Bull Run, which they did. They'd go up in stock while the Unions lose battle. They would be there. This flips back and forth, and you're mainly dealing with that there. You then take a marker for the Confederacy, and you move it along here, and then the next round you're playing as Antietam. Then you're going to check if the war ends. If any side has won 3 victories, the game is done, and then you'll determine the winner. We'll talk about the winner in just a second. So how do you get bonds in this game? Well, as I showed before, and I'm going to try to do this again without making everything a mess. When you produce, you are going to get a bond of the type of cards you pulled. So if I had 2 Union cards, I'd pull 2 Union soldiers, and I'd get myself 2 Union bonds. Let's say I wanted 3 Union bonds because I really have a good feeling about this battle. I'd choose Great Britain for a Union card, and then the Confederates will get you a bond. So you're always dealing with both sides in bonds. So it's always about how many cards you pull and produce, and then as you resolve that outcome, you will see how the game kind of unfolds with bonds and things like that. It's a very unique idea. It's a very interesting, a very interesting system, because when the game ends, the only people who cash out their bonds are the ones who won the war. So if the Confederates won the war, Union bonds are useless, and then vice versa. Union wins the war, the Confederate bonds are useless. You also have the opportunity to buy 8 Victory Union bonds, 8 Confederate victory bonds. If you're the second person to do it, you can buy 5. If you spent a lot of time gaining those cards, they're worthless at the end, which I think is very thematic. I really liked that part of it, that you have to be very careful about who won since you're supplying a lot of things. So that's pretty much how you play. You do this until one side wins 3 victories, and because you have the possibility of a draw, then if there's no 3 victories, it goes and you figure out who has the most, and then whoever has the most money based on bonds is the winner of the game. Now let's go back and hear what my thoughts are about it. Oh, I will say, if the war ends in a stalemate, then you calculate victory based on your British factories. And that's it. That's how you win the game. And that's Profiteers, everybody. So what did I think of Profiteers, and how do I feel the game plays? Well, first off, at 3 to 5, it took us a long time to do this review, mainly because of COVID. And COVID slowed our game meetups, but when we finally did get a chance to play Profiteers, we thought it was interesting. It had some concepts that really were... it really had great historical value to it, and you know I love games that have great historical value to it while being approachable as a game. Profiteers, you could definitely not really tell who was going to win, and I mean that both on the player side, because things were so swingy with how the war went, and because you're selling your stocks that you win not that you win, but you gain throughout the game, your income can greatly affect how things go. So let's say you supported the Union Army, and you supported all the troops that you put in there. Maybe you used the railroads to give you more strength for a battle, and then the Union stock value went up. Well, sometimes you might feel like you want to have kind of a both situation. So you spend some money on Confederate bonds and things like that. So now you're trying to focus the game on that. And this kind of back and forth pull at first seemed like, well, what are we doing? But by the time we got to the end, I really did enjoy what I was seeing. This is a concept in a game that I've never seen before. If it has been done, please let me know. As you know, I love to pair books with these board games, especially when they have a historical value. I don't have one that I can recommend. I am aware that this kind of thing happened during the American Civil War, but I don't really know if there's a whole book dedicated to it. Now, if I do have one complaint, I wish there was maybe one more mechanic. I feel like this game wonderfully blends an economic stock-based game with a war game and back and forth. So if you're a war game fan, this might be your first introduction to stocks. It might not be, of course, but you'll have a good time with it. And if you're a stocks game person, you might enjoy this as well. I was definitely engaged the whole time the game was being played. Looking over there. Yes, the whole time the game was played. So I do think this one is getting a recommendation from me. It is 3 to 5 players, so sadly this will not stay in our collection, but that's only because it's a 3 to 5 player game. Those of you who know Jen and myself, we don't own 3 to 5 player games. The ones we do own are ones that we always play, especially on game nights, things like trick-taking games, Shadows over Camelot. Those are the types of games we keep because we know that we know them so well that we could teach them back and forth. But a 3 to 5 player game is not going to stay in the collection, but that doesn't mean it's not a good game. This is a very good game. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I give it a 7.5 on BGG. So take a look at it. It's a very small game. I'm not sure it got a huge release yet, but I'm pretty sure it will soon. This is Stronghold, designed by James Dickinson. Take a look, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, everybody.